Hey guys, what's up? This is Casey. This is Coach Tom. This is Shot Science Overtime number 146. We're going to do what we do most every Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to have a live show for about an hour or so where we're going to help you guys kind of go through some things that will help you become a better player, hopefully better all-around basketball player, maybe help you get to the next level. And, while we're doing that, you guys are going to be sending us your questions and comments in the chat. And after we're done with our topic, then we're going to jump in and we're going to try to answer as many of those for you guys as we possibly can in that amount of time. Just remember that this is a longer form show. This is us trying to have a little bit of time with you guys, and it's not like a regular Shot Science video. If you guys want to watch those, we have several hundred of them on our channel that are, every kind of tutorial you can think of. So go check those out if you want something that is a little bit more concise, little snippet. But this is like our live show that we talk to you guys. Yeah. So if it's not for you, that's cool. Go check out the other stuff. Also, make sure you're following us on all the social media stuff: Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, Google+. You name it, we are Shot Science and all that stuff, and we are doing different things on every different place, and that's how we talk to you guys during the week.
And where are we from?
Hold on. Jeez, that's like your favorite thing to do.
It is. I'm interested.
So, maybe we'll wait till we get a few more people in here. But, we like to know where you guys are from. So if you want to tell us in the chat, let us know, and we'll shout a few people out. And we are here in California, in Santa Cruz, and we'd love to hear from everybody from all over the world. So please let us know what's going on. But right now we're going to jump into our topic for today, which is how many moves do I need? A lot of people think that they need to have like this laundry list or have every move down. But we have some opinions on that kind of stuff. So I'll let you jump into that one first.
Okay. One of the things that is really interesting for me is to talk and watch young players, and they want to have all the moves in the world. When we're teaching people what we think are good moves for them, we have a laundry list that we particularly like, and they're a little different maybe than other people, but we feel like they're important. Now, the other thing to remember is that it's going to probably be a different set of attacks or moves if you're facing the basket or if you have your back to the basket. And here's the kind of the way that we look at it. Number one, if you've got your back to the basket, that means you're probably going to be playing down near the basket. And so we have several things that we think are really important for young players to be able to execute one-on-one when we have a player behind them. Usually what happens is that players defensively tend to play a high side on you, or they tend to play right behind you. And so what we like to teach our players is that there's about 3 or 4 things that they need to do. And then maybe 1 or 2 counters to that allows you, when they start to pick up, now you can counter that and come back with something that is going to be to your advantage as well. And so the things that we look at the post position is this. We want to have the player who's going to catch the basketball catch it down above the block when he's in the low block. If he's higher up, then it's maybe a little different situation. But at the low block, we want to when we say low block, we're actually talking about that spot where the first peg is located on the lane. That's where we think you've got the best opportunity to work from. And there, we like to have what we call a release step. We want you to, as the ball is thrown to you, you release from your position a little jump stop. It's only a short one. It's not a long one. And catch the ball and get it up into your chin. We call that position of power. From there, we can execute and go. All right, so the release step we think is really important. We have videos and the things that we're talking about right now. If you don't have an idea of what we're talking about, go to the videos on Post Play and you'll see those.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the major thing that people need to realize is that you need to have a few moves that you've basically mastered those moves. Because if you have those few moves that you've mastered, that's going to do you so much better than having every move that you're only okay at.
Right.
Because if you're only okay at it, then it's not ever going to be convincing for anybody that you play against.
Yeah.
And so you have to have those moves down, but then you also have to have mastered the counter move, because that counter move is kind of how you're going to react if they are kind of figuring out what you're doing, and and they'll start hedging and kind of guessing. Oh, well, he's going to definitely do this jump hook. What you have to have an option. Okay, well, they figure that out. What am I going to do now?
Right. Well, and the thing that's really important for us to remember too is that we need to know where that defender is playing. And so we usually teach our post players, if he's playing on the high side, we do this. If he's playing right behind you, we do that. And it gives you some alternatives that you can use. And like I said, 3 or 4 moves and then a counter or two, and you're ready to go. Now, how are they going to stop you one-on-one? Probably because you give it away, what you're going to do. Or possibly they're quicker than you are, and maybe they can counter and stay with you. But the thing that's really important is to where are they, and as a result of where they are, where am I going to go? What am I going to do?
Right. Yeah. For some reason, we're smushed into this square, so you need to make sure that you're inside the square.
Okay.
But
inside the square.
I think that most people they need to really kind of get the directive that when they're putting together this kind of list of moves or their go-to touchstone moves, they need to realize that they have to polish these things so that they are selling them at every turn.
Right.
If you just have these moves that you're going through the motion, that's never going to serve you well. But if you have these 3 or 4 moves that you have in your pocket that you can sell to anybody, then you're going to be in good shape. Right. And the best players, even if the guy knows what is coming, those great players can sell it to him, and they're still going to have to react. Because if they don't, then there's another reaction that person can do. So, I'm sure that everybody knew that Kareem was going to go with the skyhook, but it didn't matter because he could sell that he was either not going to be using it, or he could use that, and people had to respect all the other moves that he could do. Right. So when you guys are putting together these lists of moves, you have to realize that it's not like, oh, I'm going to take this crossover here, I'm going to take this hesitation step here, and that it's over, but because you've selected them. Right. You have to be able to sell them too.
Well, I think another thing that really comes into play too, not only being able to sell them, but not have so many that you're wondering which one you should do. You take a look at the great players, and most of them have great crossovers. Some of them have great spins facing the basket. That's the other thing that we were going to talk about, and probably should too in a moment, is that when you're playing with your back to the basket, there's a whole different program that goes into there. When you're facing the basket, it still depends on where is that guy. If he's playing my strong hand, he's going to give me maybe my weak hand. So what am I going to do? Have I spent time working on my weak hand so that I can maybe get over the top and beat him that way and get into the paint? I mean, that's really important for you to understand. And so one of the things that's important too is that if you take a look at the great players, they usually have signature moves. You take a look at Iverson, and he was really well known for his crossover. He could do a lot of things, but he was really well known for that. And you take a look at Kyrie Irving. He's got all the moves that you could ever want, but he usually works, and when he's playing, he usually only executes maybe 2 or 3 or 4 of those moves. All right, and then we kind of get to the counter moves when you're facing the basket. Well, what can we do there in the way of counters? Well, what I think is important is that if you're going to take and go hard to the right, you're going to attack the basket and your defender going to the right, and he's overplaying you and staying with you, then it's time to counter him. And that is the counter move that we're talking about, like on the post play. And that counter moves that we teach, we teach the cross, the scissor.
Well, I mean, those are just dribble attacks.
Those are just dribble attacks, right?
But here's the thing: is that when we're talking about those counter moves, these are moves that you couple with these kind of very signature moves.
Exactly.
If you're doing the crossover, that's a great staple move.
Right.
And the kind of a counter of that would be an in and out dribble.
That's true.
Or even a hesitation might be another counter.
Hesitation would be another counter.
Because people begin to expect, that guy's known for the crossover. Yeah. So I'm going to play that. Yeah. But then they play that, you hit them with the in and out dribble, and it looks like it's going to be the crossover. They have to, compensate for that, and they overcommit. And then in actuality, with that in and out, you're going the same way that you were going in the first place, and they've overcommitted that way, and you can go right by them.
Exactly.
So it's a counter where you're trying to get them to bite on that kind of move that you are selling before.
Right. Well, and the thing that we haven't really said anything about either, and I think this is really important on almost every move that you might execute, is the fact that you catch the ball and face up. We call that catch and address. So we're addressing the basket. And that we have a little shot fake that we can use there. We got a little jab step that we can use. Those things are important too. So now looking at facing the basket and back to the basket situations, still, it's kind of about 3 or 4 good moves that you can go to. And then on top of that, having some counters out of those that allow you to take advantage of maybe overplay or that kind of thinking, is if they just overplay in one way, we can go the other.
Yeah, so I mean, when you guys are putting together this kind of master list for yourself,
Yeah.
don't just load it with one type of attack or whatever. You want to make sure that you are strategically putting those things together so that you have if you need to go right, you can do that. If you need to go left, you can do that. If you're in the post, you have a reaction where you can go over the top. You have one where you can go baseline, or you can have a step back, or whatever it is. You are putting these kind of lists together, keeping in mind that you are it's not just about your ego and like, oh well, I love all of these moves. It's like, okay, I want to be an effective player and be able to have options going any way possible.
Yeah, very true. Now, something else that kind of flashed into my brain as I was listening to Casey talk there, and kind of tickled me just a little bit. One of the things that we find players who are kind of young and maybe not very experienced is that they try to use the dribble dance. Where they're through the legs, behind the back, through the legs again, cross over, and don't go anyplace. They stay in about a 2-foot circle, and so we give them a hard time about that because you don't gain any kind of advantage when you're doing this little dribble dance. What you need to do is make the defender move. And so we really encourage you, all right, let's attack them. And when we attack them, we're going to attack them hard. And when we attack them hard, they have to defend hard. If they don't, we're at the basket. If they do, then we're in position where we can use 1 or 2 of those counters that we spent so much time working on.
Yeah. And it's when people do that, the thing is dribble economy is super important, and people are you have to wonder, are they trying to put on a show, or are they trying to actually be effective and score points? Because if you are a good basketball player, if you are a good ball handler, you can beat a person with one move.
Yeah.
You don't need to put your and one mixtape together before you make a move. You can actually beat them with one move. And a lot of times it's that first step if you have a solid, good first step. So if you find that you are one of those players that is up there and you're doing all of these different kinds of moves just to get things going, then that's not really the best way to get ahead in create or in competitive basketball. Right. That's great if you're part of the street ball entertainment type of basketball, but that's not what gets things done. Right. Because when you're doing that, then all the other defenders are chilling out and they've got good coverage. They don't have to worry about anything, and everything slows down just for you to put your show on. Right. If you have a move that you can execute before everybody has shifted, then you don't have to compete with all of those other defenders that are going to be in the right place, right, because they're still going to be trying to catch up with the ball movement or whatever. Right. But if you are, spending all this time doing that, then you have effectively let them fully recover, and now it's you against 5.
Yeah, one of the other things that I notice in watching lots of basketball, and this is probably more on the high school level, but you don't see that kind of thing on the college level very much because coaches won't allow it.
Yeah,
because
if you did it, you'd be out.
It's not effective when you are doing that. But what I see is that you set yourself up when you have all these little through the legs, behind the back repertoire that maybe is 4 or 5 dribbles before you go any place. The defender oftentimes figures that out and he gets a hand on the ball. And or you hit it off your toe.
That's what I was going to say. It's so many opportunities for you to screw up.
Yeah, and so the point is that we discourage the dribble dance. In fact, we always are kind of jabbing people. That's a dribble dance. Let's go. Let's get something done.
And also, if you put the ball down immediately after catching it or without going somewhere, you have given up like the best asset you have when you are ready to attack, and that is your first step. That is the dribble without, having the dribble before putting it on the ground. That's where you have the most power.
Yeah.
If as soon as you put the ball on the ground, you have given up like the number one tool that you have to really attack them.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting way off topic, but
All right.
the thing is that we want to impart to you guys that having these very specific moves is great. Master those moves, master how to sell them, and then off of those moves have a counter that looks like that move that you can sell to look like that move, and it isn't quite that move.
Yeah.
An example that we were talking about is the crossover, and that crossover actually is coupled with something like the in and out or the hesitation dribble or something like that.
And we get the flat back dribble in there. Well, that's really a great counter move to have in your repertoire.
Yeah,
not a wraparound behind the back, but a flat back.
And so an example in the post too would be something like, okay, you have this jump hook middle. That jump hook middle, the counter would be an up and under move where it looks like the jump hook, but as soon as that guy kind of bites on the jump hook because he's like, oh, this guy's doing that move again, I'm going to jump up there and block him. You get him up there, and then there's a cross step across him and while he's in the air, and it's almost indefensible if you can really sell those two.
One of the other moves is one that is really effective for post two is take a couple of dribbles into the middle and then counter back the opposite way, and you create immediate space to get your little jump shot off there.
Yeah, so
that's a good counter.
The take-home message is master these few moves, 3-4 moves, and have a counter off of those moves, counter or two, and you're going to be in good shape.
Yep.
Don't open up the lexicon of basketball moves and try to master or do all of those because you never will. And it's great to be a master of a few things rather than mediocre at everything. That's just in terms of moves. In terms of being a basketball player, have a little bit of everything in your tool belt.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's going to do it for that topic for right now. If you guys have more questions on that, just let us know. But we want to jump into answering some of your questions. So if you have questions, please let us know. Are you going to say again? You want to?
Yes, okay. Absolutely.
So one of our favorite things to know is where you guys are from.
Where are you from?
We are in Santa Cruz, California right now. We want to know where you guys are in the world. Are you from the Philippines? Are you from Italy? We want to know. Tell us, and we might shout you guys out. And also, please go tell your friends and family to check us out because we really appreciate that kind of stuff, and it helps us do more cool things for you guys. Okay, so let's jump into some of these comments and questions. This one is from Ellis D. Dominicus, who says, "Do you need post moves as a point guard?"
Well, it's useful.
Okay.
Especially when you get somebody who you can beat at the basket. I think that's a great thing to have. But you don't have to have a repertoire. Maybe a couple of moves where you can take advantage of somebody. That would be good.
Here is my thoughts on it. You want to be a great basketball player. You need to have versatility. And so a point guard that can step in and play in the post is going to be much more valuable than a guy that can't do that stuff.
Yep.
So can you get by as a point guard without those? Yes.
Yes.
Will you be will it hurt you to have those moves? No, it will only help you. A point guard that can do a little bit of everything is going to go much further than the same guy that can't do those things.
Yep.
And the same is true for a post player that has perimeter capabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. They can step away and they can stroke it or attack the basket. Boy, that's tough to guard.
So, I mean, the biggest thing that we harp into people that we talk to is that you need to be as versatile a basketball player as you possibly can. Really try to be well-rounded. When people are talking about trying to get into college and all that stuff, they tell you need to be a well-rounded student. You need to have extracurriculars. You need to have all of these things that are part of your makeup. We say that for basketball. You need to be able to play in the post, play on the perimeter, make free throws, play defense, rebound. If you have all the tools that go into being a basketball player, you will be in a good spot. And coaches will look at that and they'll be like, hey, that guy, he can play point guard, but he can step into the post and he can take advantage of those guys playing the point that are trying to defend him. Let's get that guy.
Well, especially if you get a big little mismatch where maybe the point guard is 6'2" and he's playing against a guy who is 5'8", has to defend him or at the basket. The coaches would love that. Yes.
Or it doesn't even matter really the height. I mean, you could be going up against a guy that's 5 inches taller than you, and you got a post move.
Exactly.
You can really neutralize that guy. And the other thing is that there are going to be times where you think you are a specific position that's going to be on a team. I'm a point guard. That's all I do. I'm a point guard.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times you'll get into a situation where you won't be the point guard or you won't be the first or second string guy. And so where will you fit in if you can't do anything else? If you have the capability to shoot, you can go inside and out, you can do rebound, you can, all of these things, then maybe you get to play the shooting guard or you get to play the small forward or something. It's easier for a coach to find a spot for you. And not only that, they're going to want you on the team because you can play different positions. It's just like in baseball, they love to have guys that can step into different positions and play different places, because then it's like you got this utility knife guy that isn't just, sucking up the role of one place.
Well, if you take a look at most college teams, and probably high school teams are pretty much like this as well, is they have, once they get into the season, they usually have 7 or 8 guys who do most of the playing. Well, so somebody's going to have to take and play different positions there in order to utilize all those players.
And as you move up to the different levels of basketball, the height really can become an issue. Yeah. So if you are 6'4" and you're playing the center on your high school team, when you go play college basketball, 6'4" is not how tall centers are anymore.
No.
You're about 4 or 5 inches too short.
Yeah.
So if you are able to step in and play on the perimeter, you become a very valuable person. Yeah. And then on top of that, you've got the post moves too, so you're going to be even more valuable. So really work on being well-rounded and being able to do everything, no matter what your perceived position is, because it doesn't really matter what you think it is anyway.
Yeah, the coach is going to make that decision for you.
Yeah, it depends on the team you play for. Yeah. Okay, we have Manuel Pellissier, who is in Puerto Rico. LSD Dominicus is from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Momar Ndaye is from Senegal. Cool. Arthurus Wolf is from Paris. Awesome, you guys. Keep telling us where you guys are from. We'll try to get to more people, too. Let's see. This one is from Horsemeat24, who says, best first step move.
That really depends on where you're playing. If you're playing facing the basket, we like to just take attack hip to hip with a long one-on-one attack. And we're not going to take time to describe all that. If you go to our YouTube offensive
moves playlist,
attacks, you'll find that that's there. But if you have your back to the basket, then we really love it. It all depends on where that defensive guy is playing you. If he's a little high, we love the spin move. If he's still playing directly behind you, we like the spin move. If he plays low, which they almost never do because they give up the middle when they do that, then we'll take and move and go over the top. So you kind of have to assess where these guys are playing you. If you're playing out in the basket, or facing the basket, what you find today is that a lot of times they will try and pin you along the sideline. And the reason is they don't want you to get into the key. And so they will take away that step over the top, and they'll give you one going baseline. So you kind of have to figure out, how can I beat them going baseline?
I think that when you say best first step move, the best first step move is not to give up your dribble right away.
Yeah.
It is to have that first step ready to go. Yeah. And you should be able to go both ways. You should be able to go right. You should be able to also cross step over the top with either foot. And just getting that long 1-on-1 is really kind of the best first step move.
And getting them hip to hip when you go. That's really important.
Yeah, and so it's not like we would say, oh, it's the crossover. I mean, that's, or jab step or whatever. I mean, those are things that you can use, but you need to have that long 1-on-1 and have all of those things kind of in place to really have that best first step move. Okay, so this one is from Manuel, who says, in a point guard, what's more important, quickness or court vision?
Both of those are really important qualities. You want somebody out front who can help generate and create offense, and usually that's a person who's a little quicker. You also want somebody there who has great vision so that they can find teammates when they're open as well. So both those qualities are probably equally important. They're very important for that position.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's when people are asking you what's better than this other thing. I think that they're both super important. You can't get by without either of them, really.
Play in that spot, you can't. No.
And so it's not like I would say, okay, we'll focus everything on court vision.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, if, like, going back to being this comprehensive player, you need to address all of that stuff. And, if you have a deficiency in one of those areas, then that's probably something you need to work a little bit harder on.
Yeah, another thought just kind of jumped into my mind as well as I was listening to Casey in there. And if you watch a team like the Spurs or the Warriors, every player on their team has great vision and the ability to pass, and they're attacking really hard. And they're able to be really successful with everybody on the team having those qualities that you just mentioned there.
Yep. Okay. Shay Hastings asks, how effective is the crossover move?
It really depends on how you execute it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it depends on how you sell it.
Yeah.
You can totally, you've seen all the videos online of people falling down. If you sell it that hard that you break somebody's ankles, that's means that you did it very effectively.
Yeah, one of the things that we work with all of our players on when we're teaching those counter moves is that you attack the defender hard, knowing he's going to defend you hard. And when you've got him in that grasp and you change the direction of your attack with a crossover, a scissor, or a flat back, or even a spin, those are things that you're going to be able to utilize to get by him because he is really working to keep you from getting to the basket.
Yeah, the thing is that we see so many crappy crossovers.
Yeah.
Kids that just think, oh well, if I just put the ball from one side of my body to the other, that suddenly it's like Allen Iverson has come down from wherever. Right. But that's not how it works. You have to learn to sell those moves.
Right.
Changes in speed, changes of direction, forward momentum. Those are all super important. The footwork of a crossover dribble is extremely important.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that happens an awful lot, and I have people who send me notes, Coach, they keep taking the ball away from me when I cross over. Well, I know why. Probably you're dribbling the ball probably chest high when you go through that move. When you do, you're actually adding time to that crossover and allows the defender to get their hands on it. When we teach all of those counter moves, we use what we call as the short stroke. Everything is low and quick, and we want it to happen before they really can react to it.
Yep. Let's see here. This one is from Momar Indaye, who says, I just started basketball. Any advice? It's hard to give anybody advice with that kind of question.
Yeah.
I would say, like we were saying, work a little bit on everything.
Everything. I had that question this morning and I answered the same way, is that you need to develop your entire game. If you develop a limited game where maybe you're just really pretty good shooter, but not a very good at attacking the basket, then you limit yourself in so many ways.
Yeah, and really kind of one of the most important things to do is to start from the very foundation. Be patient and break everything down.
Yeah.
When we're talking about shooting, it's not something where you watch Kobe Bryant or you watch Steph Curry and then you go out and you do it exactly like they do it.
Right.
That is not a good approach, not a good way to get started. Go watch like our videos, look at what the foundational elements are, get together with yourself on the form drill, and really dial in all of those things and do it slowly. You don't have to force it.
Right.
Start with those foundational elements and progress. Don't try to just force yourself into, you're not an NBA player when you first start. You got to start somewhere and build the foundation, and you will find that is going to be really helpful in making sure you progress instead of hitting some wall or regress where you get to a point and then everything just kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
So start from the fundamentals. Okay, this one is from, I guess that's Lukas Zeminski, who says, I can't go past the defenders because I'm too slow. What to do? Learn to sell your moves.
Yeah. There's so much to that. One of the things that we teach everybody, and I mentioned this earlier, is that we teach them not only where to go on the attack, but how to go. One of the things that you want to make sure you do is get that long first step, long first dribble, and you go hard to the basket, probably 2, maybe 3 dribbles. And if you do that, they have to go hard as well to stay with you. And if they go hard, they now are setting themselves up for you to execute a counter move. And the counter move is one where you're probably going to go in the different direction. One of the things that Casey mentioned a while ago, which I think is really an excellent move, is the hesitation. The hesitation dribble is awesome because defenders they're not prepared for that. And so it's really difficult for them to react to it and adjust, and then you go by them. So Those are important elements, I think.
Yeah. Wait, what were we just talking about? I forgot.
We were talking about the what was the most? Let's see where they go. How can I
Can't
get past defenders?
Yeah. Okay. So think about players like Steph Curry or even Steve Nash or there's so many guys that are exceptional players, but they are not as athletically gifted as a lot of the guys that they go up against. They're not Russell Westbrook. They have to learn these moves and know these moves and be deceptive and sell them, and that is how they get open so often and how they get past those guys. Watch Steph Curry, and that guy is doing things to create space and get open without the ball all the time. When he has the ball, those moves are sold so hard. Like people are buying what he's doing, and that's why he's able to get by them, even though he is not as athletic as they are.
Exactly.
Same thing with Steve Nash. Jason Kidd is another example. He wasn't as quick or fast as a lot of the guys that he went up against, but he is a Hall of Fame player because of the way that he learned to sell all those moves. Okay. Let's see here. Crimson Killer says, how to have a consistent jump shot every game.
Consistent. Well, a consistent anything, whether it's a move or a shot or whatever, just comes through a lot of practice. You take a look at Steph Curry, and they're always talking about how he releases the ball so quickly and that sort of thing. That's not by accident. He practices that every day. And, the story is that he shoots 1,000 shots before every practice. I mean, that's incredible. But that's one of the reasons why he is able to be so effective. And the shot mechanics that he uses are ones that are very effective. One of the things that happens is that oftentimes shooters have these little snags in their shot. Maybe they're pulling the hand down. Maybe they're finishing with just their fingers instead of their whole wrist and whatnot. And that will tend to make you less effective. But getting to the point where you create better mechanics is going to make you a much better player in all elements of the game.
Here's the bottom line take-home message is this. Consistent execution comes from consistent practice. Yeah. So if you are wanting to be a great shooter on Sunday, you can't just go in on Monday and hope that it's there on Sunday. Yeah. You have to put in a little bit of work at least every day to have it be there.
And it has to be effective work.
Quality, diligent work.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if you spend 8 hours on Monday working on your shot. If you take the rest of the week off and hope that it's there on Sunday, it won't be. But if you break that up and you spend 30 minutes every day or an hour every day working on that stuff, it will start to be there on Sunday. Yeah. So you need to have a better, consistent approach to practice if you want consistent execution.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I see we have somebody from Turkey with us today.
Yeah, I was going to say, here's a few more people. Jordan Obi is from Connecticut. MVP Harden is from Germany. Yusuf Fidan is from Turkey, but currently living in Austria.
Dallas, Texas.
Vic on Vicona BNBA 44 is from Dallas, Texas. Danks22 is in Italy but was born in the Philippines. Cool. It's awesome that all you guys are here.
That is great.
If you didn't hear before, we are here in Santa Cruz, California. Okay, let's see. Onimod says, is it possible to learn to play on NBA level in 2 years?
Probably not. You don't know how old you are.
Unless you are like one of these freak guys that comes out of like some foreign country from nowhere, and it doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen. Because there's so much for you to learn and polish and learn to compete at the NBA level. I mean, it's astounding how difficult it is to play there and how physical it is, too.
I think I remember there being a stat somewhere that I saw that there's only been about 3,500 NBA players ever. Yeah. And do you know how many millions of people play basketball?
Yeah, truly.
So it's great if you are able to get to that point and you are able to put all your skills together and have the right attributes. But even the best players, even the guys that have all the attributes, they're tall, they're athletic, they have all the skills, that does not mean you get a ticket to the NBA.
No.
We've seen plenty of guys that are NBA players that are not in the NBA and never will make it.
Exactly.
So for you to think that it's just a matter of buckling down for 2 years to get in, that's not a realistic thing unless you are, one of these 7'5" guys that just if he's a little coordinated, he might end up in the NBA. I think that is not even a good goal to set. A goal that you want to set are these incremental goals. Like, okay, I'm going to make this traveling team. I'm going to make this college team. I'm going to make that, kind of setting these stepping stones instead of saying, okay, I'm going to be an NBA player in 2 years. Because we've heard that from people that are, that we know and that we've worked with. And, that can be really devastating and overwhelming if doesn't happen or it doesn't look like it's starting to happen. I don't think that's a good approach. If you like basketball, then play it.
Yeah.
And
just try to reach the highest level you can.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not the same for certainly not the same for everybody.
Well, here's
take a look at some of the young high school guys that come in and they play college basketball for 1 year and then they move up. And some of them are able to do that and perform very well. Others just fall by the wayside because they don't have the skills that they needed to play on the NBA level. I mean, those are the most athletic guys in the world. I mean, it's incredible the kinds of athletic things that they can do, and almost to a person.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a privilege to be in the NBA.
Yeah.
It's not like like I said, you get like your pass if you have done this,
And it's a tough situation too, because if you don't perform on that level, you're dropped. You're out of there.
Yeah.
They trade you, or you go to the D League, or you go home.
Yeah, or you get injured. You get injured too. It's happened so many times where these great players, they have injuries and they're pretty much just dropped. Yeah. You look at somebody like Sam Bowie, he was taken over Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And, people thought he was going to be one of the greatest of all time, but he was nagged by injuries, and he eventually he couldn't keep up. And so, he was let go. He had to retire. So you have to have backup plans. You have to understand that the NBA is serious business.
Yeah, it is.
It is not just about, okay, I put all this hard work in. Okay. That was a total rant on that stuff, but it's good to have a realistic kind of expectation of yourself and of like life. So if you love basketball, play it and set those incremental goals. And the NBA might be one of those incremental goals, but it's not good to have that be your end all goal.
Exactly.
Especially if you're putting something like a 2-year mark on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good luck. Let's see. This one's from Denks22. He says, I always am blocked because I'm small. What should I do? Learn to sell your moves. This is what we've been talking about the whole time, is that have those moves that you've mastered, 2, 3, 4 of them, and then have the counter. Learn how to sell those, and it doesn't matter how tall you are.
Yeah, that's really the truth. And you want to use your quickness. If you're smaller, you're probably going to be a little quicker than some of those bigger guys too, and utilize that for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things, is that so many people focus on these perceived kind of, what do we want to say? These attributes that are just like, they think that they're bad or not advantageous. Yeah. It is okay and it is good at sometimes to be shorter than everybody else. Because like you said, you're probably going to be more agile. You're going to be quicker. You're probably going to be faster. You might get away with, people that are defending you have a mindset. Oh, that guy's a small guy. I'm going to block every shot. Use that against them. Yeah. The people that get totally dominated are the ones that are like, oh, I'm short. I'm going to get, taken advantage of by that guy every single time. Yeah. Don't think that way. That's a horrible outlook. You have no control over your height. You have all the control over your developed abilities.
Yeah, how you use that height. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Turbze CV says, how do you increase your vertical? Very simply, go watch our vertical jump videos and our vertical jump handbook. And that is our best advice to help you increase your vertical and increase your all-around general athleticism and conditioning. Right? Let's see here. This one is from Shift Team 95. He says, should I play AAU basketball or should I do the summer workouts where we do conditioning and weightlifting to improve my athleticism? That is very hard for us to tell a specific person to make those kind of life choices.
Yeah, it really is.
What we like to tell people is that you need to take a full evaluation of what is going on in those situations. And if you are joining an AAU team or a traveling team, those teams need to be about player development, not just winning, losing, and playing games.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times those teams are put together, and all they do is they take you and you go play games, in fill in the blank city, and they don't ever work on making you a better player.
Right.
And game experience is great, but that is time also spent, time where you're traveling, time where you're actually playing in the game, time where you can't do personal development stuff that you could be developing your skills, like shooting and dribbling and ball handling and all of these things. So is it worth doing that, or is that team actually going to be facilitating that, where you're having practices, you're working together, you actually get to play when you do actually play games? I mean, you have to really evaluate it. And I think a touch of both of these things, like doing some summer workouts where you're working on your conditioning and athleticism, that is something you should probably be doing anyways.
Right.
So
Right, it really is. And the whole thing about AAU basketball is really being taken to task today by some really important names in basketball at all levels. And the criticism essentially is that there's not very much basketball being taught there. That's kind of the course that Casey was kind of going on there. And I've been involved in that for a number of years, probably 10 or 15 years, and not anymore, but that's what I noticed is that, you've got a team that you're from someplace in let's say Southern California or New York or wherever, and you have players coming from 5 or 6 different towns. Some of them are 50 miles away. Well, are you going to practice 2 or 3 times a week? Well, probably no. But you're going to get together to travel to a tournament in Kansas City. And the coach is going to put your name in the book, and that's about as much as he's going to do as far as coaching you up. And so we're not really crazy about that particular format, but I think Casey's comment there is that these are often, let me back up, AAU traveling teams, those are called exposure teams, where they want to be exposed to the coaching public so that maybe they can get somebody to give them a scholarship to play basketball in college. Well, most of the time what happens is that when the college coaches show up at those exposure events, they already know who they're going to look for. It's not like they go there and, oh, I didn't know that guy was around. Once in a while, you probably see that, but for the most part, they already know who they're going to look at when they go there, and they're going to watch that individual play. And so I think that probably, like Casey says, a good mix would be to maybe do both of them.
yeah, I mean, you have, like I was saying, when it comes to those traveling teams or AAU teams, make sure they are about the players and not about the coach or the win or whatever.
Yep,
because
true.
a lot of times that's what it's about.
Most of the time, that's what it's about.
Yeah, so find the programs that are about players and player development, and they're going to put the kids first, and it's not about winning necessarily. Because a lot of times behind the scenes, those coaches are trying to get contracts, they're trying to get brand deals, they're trying to get all these things that have nothing to do with you as the player.
Well, another point that I would probably throw out there as well on these same kind of teams: avoid teams where there is a player on the team whose father is the coach.
Yeah.
Because it's all gonna be about that player, and the rest of the people are just part of the act. They're supporting characters, and so I would avoid that if I were you.
Yeah, I mean, even when I was playing, you weren't my coach for our traveling team. I think for 1 year maybe, but then after that you weren't.
Yep.
Okay, so this one is from Tim Smith, who says, I'm from Michigan, and every time I step onto the court to practice, I can never figure out what to do to practice and usually end up just shooting around. Do you have any suggestions for me?
That's a wide open one there. Casey mentioned this a while ago, and you may not have been in tune with us then. That is, the best thing that you can do is create a workout for yourself. And how can you do that? Well, you can go to our basketball channel on YouTube, and you can select from different things. Okay, I'm going to work on my form shooting today. I'm going to work on my shooting off the dribble today. I'm going to take and work on my crossover today, and give yourself a list of things that you're going to work on that day. And maybe the next day it's another list. And so, how could you do it any other way? Otherwise, you're just bumbling. Well, and like you say, you give up, and they just kind of shoot around a little bit, which you don't get very much out of.
Well, here's
give yourself a program that you create, and then go do it. And if there's something in there that you don't understand or don't know about, watch the videos and figure it out there.
Yeah, before you get to the gym, write it down. Every person's going to be different. And if you're one of those people that, if you get there, you don't know what to do, then you probably are a person that needs to think about it beforehand and then write it down.
Yep.
And casual shoot-arounds are not the way to get better. You have to have an approach to where you're touching on a little bit of everything every day, but you want to change it up too, so you're not doing the exact same things.
Right.
And we always talk about the 3 pillars of practice too, which is another approach to practice that you need to kind of put together as well, where it will help you prepare yourself for actually being in a game. And the first pillar, and we talk about this every week, but the first pillar is your diligent kind of dialing in of practice. So
learning.
Yeah. So we're breaking everything down to the fundamentals, and we're progressing slowly as we put everything together. So an example for shooting would be the form shooting drill. So you are doing everything to kind of get rid of all the distractions. Everything is just the bare minimum, and you are working on getting your form right. Second pillar is game speed, game intensity work, where you're taking everything from that first pillar and you're actually putting it into, what you would see in the game. So maybe you're adding even in a defender, or you're visualizing that defender, or you're going at the speed of the game so that you're going off the dribble, or you're going off the catch, and it's not like you're just casually shooting around, but you are doing it like you would actually be doing it in a game.
Yeah.
And you work at that level. And then the third pillar is game experience, and getting out there and actually playing and using those things from the first 2 pillars against actual competition. So pickup games, AAU games, traveling team games, school games, whatever it is. That third pillar is putting everything together so that when you actually get out there in games that count, then you are ready to go and you've actually been there before.
Right.
So you have to have that kind of approach too, so that you are actually preparing yourself for the game and not just going out there and hoping that the things that you casually worked on are there, because they won't be.
Yeah.
Let's see. LSD Dominican says, can you get recognized without playing AAU? Because some of my friends play it and they say that's the only way to get recognized, and players who play AAU are better. That is almost the exact opposite thing.
Yeah.
Most are you talking about being recognized for college or something like that? Because
well, that's why they do it. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that most of the time people are, coaches are going to know who these people are before they ever go watch them play. Yeah. Word gets around. It's and to say that AAU is better, I mean, that's subjective.
Yeah.
There's some really terrible AAU teams.
Yes, and terrible AAU coaches. Now, that's not a condemnation of everybody, but
no.
Generally, you run into some pretty reckless people, maybe. Let me put it that way.
Predatory.
Yeah, and and AAU players don't necessarily play better. You play better when you're coached how to play better.
Yeah.
And then you play against high-level competition. That is going to improve your game, certainly. Okay. Now Ellis is asking another question here. He says, okay, but how do you get to those exposure camps? Because I have a couple of friends that have gotten invited to these camps, but all they got from them was playing.
No, but they got them all from playing AAU.
Right. Well, here's the thing, is that I can remember having my son go to some of those camps, and there was like 300 people at those camps. And there were evaluators, maybe 10 or 12 evaluators. Tell me how you can evaluate players and figure if they're of a college level, and they aren't. They can't do that. there might be somebody who stands out in there like Wiggins or somebody like that, or whoa, and they can say, okay, that guy, he's got some qualities, and so now everybody focuses on him. But I think going to exposure camps where college coaches, I don't know if college coaches can even go to those exposure camps.
I think it really depends. But, the thing about it is
I
that
think the NCAA regulates where they can go and when.
the thing about it is that everybody that goes to those camps does not get a college scholarship right when they walk out the door. The thing about it is that you have to stand out.
Yeah.
Good luck doing that at one of those camps.
Yeah, exactly.
The people that stand out at those camps are NBA bound players.
Yeah, and you can imagine a gymnasium, even a big gymnasium full of 300 or 400 players. I mean, it's outrageous.
And
to be able to evaluate them.
And here's the thing: we're not trying to knock on that stuff. We're trying to be realistic with you guys. Yeah. The best way to stand out and kind of make a name for yourself is to, number one, focus on player development. Focus on yourself developing. And that's why you need to look for programs that is their focus.
Exactly.
And that's why you need to be proactive for yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you or hold your hand as you go. And that's tough love that you got to hear. And the other thing is that you have to think about that the system is not set up for you to just get everything because you go and attend these things.
Yeah, right.
Exposure camps, great. They don't really do much for you unless you are one of these big time people. And even in that case, you've already been seen by everybody that's going to want to know about you. So maybe I would call them an experience camp.
Yeah, that's probably better. Right.
Yeah, you'll probably meet a few great players and get to know some people. Yeah. But you probably have to learn to take advantage of the networking aspect of that too. And that's hard when you're a younger person. Yeah. So I would say, have realistic expectations. Exposure camps are not tickets to the NCAA.
No.
Okay. Let's see. Rafe Imran says, I always carry the ball. How do I learn not to?
You practice not carrying the ball.
You've identified the problem.
Yeah.
So now you have to kind of put into practice not doing that.
Yeah, keep that hand on the top half of the basketball. So often, and you get called for that carry because the hand comes under the ball and you roll that dribble. Well, one of the things that happens out of that is not only is it a violation, but it's a very slow dribble that can be knocked away and stolen from you.
Okay, we're going to take a few more questions and then we're out of here. Okay. This one is from Fire Type Hunter 27 who says, I'm right-handed and I shoot with my left and I'm pretty good. I have learned to shoot with my left since I was little. Should I switch?
No.
I mean,
stay with what works for you.
Is there a reason why you would? I mean,
if you were a right-handed shooter, would you want to switch your left? Well, you want to be capable maybe with your left, but your strong hand is really what you want to work on.
I mean, if you have it all kind of working out, and
Absolutely.
there's no reason to change it.
Yeah.
If for some reason there is a reason to change it, then sure. But if not, no way. Chelsea Morte says, the best players on my team act like angels near the coach, but are rude to other players that are not as good as them. A few times I haven't gone to practice at all. How do I get better? Okay, number one, you get better by doing those diligent, purposeful practices that we were talking about, using the 3 pillars of practice, being an all-around versatile player. Number two, you forget about those jerks and you don't let them get to you because there's always going to be those people. Yep. And number three, you don't worry about them and how they act around the coach
or what they might say to you.
You just
get your job done and get better.
You just do you. And it doesn't matter if somebody comes up to your face and says, "Hey, you suck." You can just say, whatever, and laugh it off
and walk away. Yeah.
Because how does that have any power over you unless you let it?
You allow it, then it will have a real negative effect on you. And just stand up taller, and pretty soon
outplay those people.
Yeah, pretty soon when you don't respond in the way they expect you to respond, they leave you alone.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that you just need to not worry about it. Don't go to the coach and rat him out because that never works out well. And just focus on being you. Do the little things that coaches love. Dive for loose balls, show leadership skills, show initiative, show effort, go after rebounds like a crazy person, take a charge. all of those things are what will get you into the coach's good graces. And who cares what anybody else is doing? Those people will always be around. I can guarantee you, in basketball, in life, whatever. You let them get to you, then they have served their own purpose. Okay. This is the last one, okay? Amin Dawo says, why do I release with my finger next to my pinky rather than my index or middle finger? How can I fix this? Thanks, coaches.
Okay, just a couple of thoughts, and then I'm going to tell you to go to our videos on shooting, and that'll help you as well. Oftentimes what the ball comes off the outside fingers is that your elbow is out too far, and so that's about all that can really happen is the ball come off these fingers. And so usually that's an elbow out kind of thing. Some people, when they finish their shot, they'll finish like this, and that's not proper either, and that could be what you're doing. And you just have to learn to make sure that these fingers come straight through the basket every time you shoot it. The ball should be released off of these two fingers, and sometimes the third finger is a little longer and it gets involved in there, but if it gets down to the last two, you're not going to be very accurate. Elbow in, make sure you finish off the two fingers.
Consistent practice, using the form shooting drill. Make sure that you are diligently looking at all of the things that you're doing, like you were saying, and then make sure that you are just consistently working on that stuff.
Absolutely.
But you've identified the problem, so figure it out. And and before we leave, I'm seeing a bunch of people in here that are saying things about, I don't have time to go do this because I'm watching my brother, or I don't have a place to work out or shoot or do. For us, we it's tough love, but we always say that you need to make it happen and figure it out. A lot of these people that make it to the highest levels of basketball, they did not have a personal basketball court that they could go work on. They had to figure it out. They had to get on the bus. They had to get on the train. They had to bring their little brother with them so that they could watch them while they were working on it. They had to go out in the garage while it was snowing and work on the dribbling there. I mean, there's so many ways to make it happen. It's not all going to be easy. So you just need to figure it out.
FIO. Figure it out.
And make it happen. Okay, so if we didn't get to your guys' question, it's not because we don't like you. It's because we simply ran out of time. Make sure you guys come back for another live show, 1 p.m. Pacific time on Sundays. We also have started doing a few of these live shows on Facebook where it's easy for us to get through a bunch of questions there. So make sure you follow us on Facebook, and we will do more of those things there. Make sure you're following us on everything social, because we're doing different things in different places. Snapchat, Google+, Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. We are Shot Science on everything there. And I guess if you want to talk to us during the week, those are the places to hit us up, right?
Right.
Okay, so we will see you guys next time. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Good luck. All right.